Okay, welcome along today. I'm going to give you an update on the Wooloora fire. At this point in time, the fire is 7,300 hectares, some 80 kilometres of perimeter that we've got over 200 firefighters and fire appliances working on today. Main task for today is to try and keep the fire within the boundary that we had last night, the main approach today is to keep the fire within the boundary that we had this morning. We've had some challenging conditions, but what we've been able to do, deal with it with a couple of breakouts that we had, particularly out on the western edge and on the southern flank near 2J Road. We've had a couple of breakouts there, which crews in conjunction with aircraft have been able to get on top of. It's still mid-afternoon, so we've still got a fair way to go in terms of today and the conditions that we've got. But today has been a much better day than we had yesterday and overnight. In terms of aircraft, an additional large air tanker is on its way from the east coast and from New South Wales, and will land here at 5:30 this afternoon. We'll go through an induction and be ready to put into action tomorrow morning. We're in the middle of working through a state resource plan to make sure we've got adequate resources to continue to keep the required amount of resource up to this incident over the next couple of days. I can also advise that our rapid damage assessment teams have been through a large part of the incident. There's still some more to go, but at this time I can tell you that 56 homes have been lost. And it's terrible news for the owners of those homes, and our thoughts are with them all in terms of the loss of those homes. A process now will be undertaken. DFES will assist local governments of Swan and Mundaring to work through a process to notify those homeowners of the loss of those homes. The rapid damage assessment team will continue the work that they've done today. That'll continue this afternoon and into tomorrow, and there is a likelihood that the number of homes lost will increase once that work has been completed.
When you say that'll increase, that those numbers will increase, are they homes that you haven't been able to get to yet, or those that you expect to lose during the course of today?
No, the rapid damage assessment team is dealing with homes that are already inside the burnt area that have been damaged, and so it will be homes that were affected yesterday and last night.
So for the rest of today, what do you think is the outcome? I mean, most people are educated now about how wind is your enemy. Can you go through that for us?
Yeah, so we dealt this morning with a forecast northerly influence on the easterly winds that we've had, and that came in an hour earlier than what we thought, so that was at 8 o'clock and continued during the day. And I think most people would realise the significant smoke that's over the CBD of Perth has been caused by that northerly influence. And so what we'll see over the next couple of days is a move towards a more southeasterly wind, and so work is underway at the moment to deal with both the southern flank and the northern flank of the fire to get a break around those flanks ahead of those forecast winds.
You haven't mentioned it, but so from that, can I assume that there's been no loss of life?
Not that we're aware of, no. No, not at this point. We're unaware of any injuries to the public, and certainly none that have been reported to us.
No one unaccounted for, sir?
No, nothing that's been reported to us, no.
Those 56 homes that you mentioned, were they all in that Sheraton Perth area, or whereabouts?
Yeah, okay, so approximately 15 to 20 of those homes are on the east side of 2J Road, and then the balance is in the Tilden Park area.
That more will be lost, or have been lost that you haven't yet assessed?
It's more at the moment with the rapid damage assessment teams is the loss of homes that we haven't assessed yet. Yeah, at the moment, we're still in really difficult conditions. The southern flank of the fire and its proximity through the top of Brigadoon and Upper Swan and Millenden are still a great concern for us, and our warnings reflect that. And so there's still a lot of work to be done on the fire yet to make it safe. We're a long way from that point. The issues around access are such that it's still an active fire. The events of yesterday, a really quick, fast, escalating fire and then travelled some 16 kilometres from the time the sun went down last night through till this morning, has meant that crews have had little time to go back and consolidate the work that they did yesterday. So there's still a lot of active fire around all the edges of the fire, and as a result we're just restricting access for this time. We're well aware of the desire of people that have homes and they've got pets and other things in those areas to get back in, but we'll deal with that as soon as we can make it safe for people to make access.
Can you confirm that there were less firefighters per truck due to COVID restrictions?
No, I'm unaware of that. We went through a process on a Sunday afternoon. We were aware ahead of the announcement, as everybody was, of the lockdown at 6 p.m. and we went through and delivered out, and in some cases already had masks with each brigade group and unit, but we supplemented those stocks to make sure that we can still continue to provide our service to the community and the critical nature of it.
So the firefighters weren't restricted by any means by the COVID lockdown? Not
that I'm aware of, and I know that, for example, if we have to send crews up north to go to the cyclone, we have exemptions to be able to do that.
How are crews faring? I mean, in these really extreme conditions?
Look, it's incredibly tiring for them. I think everybody understands the challenges of not only the temperature and the winds that we had yesterday, but also having to then fight a fire in those conditions is incredibly difficult. So, I thank all the volunteer and career firefighters for the commitment yesterday to dealing with what was an incredibly fast-moving fire. I think it's a very important point that often firefighters were just going from one house to the next house to the next house trying to save them, rather than actually putting effort into putting the fire out. And so that takes a significant amount of discipline, and something we should really admire about our operational crews.
We understand 2 fireys received minor injuries yesterday. Have there been any further injuries to crews or to people on the ground?
Yeah, at this stage there's been 6 firefighters that have received really minor injuries, and nothing further that I'm aware of today.
So just sort of a bit in the looking out a bit, Commissioner. I know you don't want to hold you to it, but are conditions going to ease, and that makes it easier for you? Can you see the end in sight, or you can't see any end in sight at the moment for this fire?
I can see an end in sight. There's certainly really good plans in place. There's good resourcing coming in on top of what was done yesterday to give effect to those plans. What's really important now is getting that earth moving machinery into that really difficult terrain that exists between Tilden Park and then down into the where the railway line is and the Avon River. Really difficult country, and we need to get breaks around that fire, both the northern flank and the southern flank, as soon as possible, and the plans are in place to do that. So we've got some challenging conditions ahead. I think certainly milder in terms of temperature, and then the effects of the cyclone will make its presence felt later in the week. And so while we may have slightly cooler temperatures, we will be dealing with stronger winds, and so some difficult times ahead. Yes.
So you've got a big strong northeasterly sort of in behind it.
Yeah.
In front of it, I know it's a fair way down, but you've got some very heavy populated areas like Aberley and Ellenbrook and the Vines.
Yeah.
Is spotting going to be an issue? And if it is, when might that be an issue?
Yeah, so we experienced last night the fire at night time was spotting 3.5 kilometres ahead of where the fire was, and so the warnings that went out into the areas like Ellenbrook and Averley were for very good reason, and I understand that people there, in terms of that they feel like they're 3 or 4 streets inside a suburban area, but when a fire is spotting at 3.5 kilometres ahead of itself, the safety of the community is at risk no matter where you are. And so we want people to understand that they were incredibly difficult conditions last night, really intense fire behaviour, and there's no reason why we're not going to experience those same sorts of conditions.
3.5 kilometres, that's enormous, isn't it? That is quite significant.
It is, and it's reflective of the wind, certainly reflective of the strength of the wind we had yesterday, and then again last night, and really dry, low relative humidity, A low dew point means that you've got a really dry atmosphere, which leads to intense fire behaviour.
So what does that mean then for people in Averley and Ellenbrook and the Vines? Should they be up all night just on standby so that they can hear the advice you give? Should they be wetting down their roofs with the garden hose? What's your thought?
Yeah, so they should have a bushfire plan. I think that's the most critical thing that should have been done already. But importantly, they should be listening to the warnings, and it's not a case of just going to bed and thinking that things will be okay in the morning, because we continue, particularly where emergency warnings are concerned, they come out every hour. We use the telephone warning system so that we can wake people if we need to. So the warnings are there. They were used extensively last night because of the fact that intense fire behaviour that we had was at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, when we understood that people would more than likely be asleep. So they need to be aware, stay aware of their surroundings, and stay aware of the warnings that DFET are putting out.
We have a question. Sorry to ask this again. So just to clarify, so both volunteer and career firefighters were started that there were no restrictions with COVID. There was no confusion. We got a report from volunteer firefighters that there was a limit to per truck. But as far as you know,
No,
none of them were told.
No, I'm not aware of that. No. We certainly followed all the procedures in terms of masks and what people needed to, for volunteers to be able to travel from home, get in their car, travel to the brigade grouper unit, get on a truck, and wear a mask. We just made sure we facilitated that so that they could respond if we needed them, and as it turned out, we did.
Sorry, just to clarify as well, so 56 homes lost. Any idea of how many are damaged or that kind of thing, or do you kind of, lost is destroyed?
Yeah, 100% destroyed is the 56. There are a small number of others that have either moderate or minor damage, and I can provide you that detail if you like.
So Tilbury Park is the majority of that, and then is like the rest of that falling together, or is it kind of still a bit?
Yeah, so it's in between the start of the fire, which was in and around Wooroloo, all the way between Wooroloo out to 2J Road, to pretty well where the Noble Falls Tavern is.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Darren.
Yeah, thank you.